or one of us falls over dead from plague. Hi! I'm alive. Welcome. It's Discussing Tabletop.
I'm somewhat alive.
Hey, after... It's one of those things, is I lost my appetite in the middle of Buccaneers, and it didn't say much to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then the next day I was pretty sick, and I was really sick yesterday. And I'm back down to pretty sick now.
I've been pretty sick today. Coupled with the fact that I didn't eat like the last 2 days. I didn't feel like it.
Yeah, I've been trying to eat a little bit, but yeah.
I would say I've probably combined Thursday and Friday only had like 1,500 calories.
Yeah, like, I had a meal. It was a pretty filling meal. I have a little bit left that maybe I'll snack on later, but I can already feel my stomach's also, like, it hasn't done anything, but it also, like, complains about anything I said there. So it's like, I'm hungry, but also I hate you for having put food in me.
Yeah, I put away a whole pizza before the show, so I think I'm good for a little bit.
I had some, one of the, like, is it like P.F. Chang's, the frozen Chinese? They do a pretty good job. Because they're the ones you cook up on the stovetop. Yeah. It's not microwavable. So I like those a lot, because then I can make some rice to go with them, and that actually is a pretty good meal. So I had some of that. I had some the chicken teriyaki, because I figured salty would be better than a lot of other flavor combinations when it came to my stomach complaints to me.
Yeah, that's fair.
I'll throw this doc in the chat as what do I want to hit up on? Hey. Oh God, I just gotta say, I'm just gonna have a brief one here. Hey, you know what? Chapter 5 of Wrath of Righteous, I'll get that out of the way. It's fine. I gotta be honest, if, like, this had been the entire game, Chapter 5, I probably would have a lot less complaints. That's it. It's the weird thing of, I've reached a point in the game where I'm like, I'm having a fine time, and, like, yeah, I fought some tough battles, but, like, I feel like they're finally appropriate. Like, I had a very tough battle against a, like, Minotaur guy sent by Baphomet, because I killed him once, and he got pissed off about that. And he had 3 Lenorms with him, which is really threatening. But I'm, like, nearly level 20 in Mythic, so, like, I went all out and managed to fight them and stuff, and it was a pretty epic fight, and it was kind of cool. And it was an actual difficult fight that felt appropriate. I'm just saying. Sometimes you have those. Anyway, I do have something I want to throw out there that I'll have at the end, of the show.
Okay.
But that's because it's not related to tabletop, because it's something that is one of my other nerdy things. I put a doc in the chat. Guess that's about it. Should we start with that?
Well, yeah, we could start with the docket.
Yeah.
I mean, there's things I could complain about, but
there's always things to complain about when it comes to.
It's not on the docket, so I don't know if I want to bring it up until there's more info on it.
I forgot, because it's going to be happening at 7.
Mm-hmm.
I can hear the sirens in the background, and we're probably going to hear them. Guess who's coming through town?
Santa.
It's Santa night. I almost forgot that someone mentioned earlier. The local firehouse has a big old parade with Santa that they do every year, and they're doing it again.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So, if there's sirens, that's what's going on.
Yeah.
So, community content coming to Roll20 from Pathfinder and Starfinder. This seems like a kind of weird thing, but what I feel like what they're saying is basically they've been fostering this community content, and a lot of this content, it's just stuff that they, like, support, and you can find in, like, their, like, community section of their stuff. They're making sure a lot of that's now a bunch of that's trying to come to Roll20 to help out people do that. That, I think, is really good, because that's more independent people having stuff published on places like Roll20 too. As the sirens go by.
I think Santa's coming. Better watch out.
He's good.
Better watch out.
Is it the Santa that's basically Die Hard Santa?
Yeah, it's Santa from the Die Hard.
Yeah, the Die Hard Santa.
Weird ass action movie.
I saw a review for that, and someone was like, "This is just like it's so like it's that kind of like stupid, but it's the best kind of stupid, and it's the it's what you want for a movie." I want to see that thing. But, that's very loud. So apologize on my end.
Nice.
At least it's not peaking my mic very much, and I'm speaking over it.
Damn. This is really coming to get you.
It sounds a lot louder for me, but I'm guessing it's still, like, very vocal on screen.
Oh, it's real bad.
Oh, my God. God, yeah. I'm doing my best here. It's getting worse. They're right outside the house, and they're just
getting better.
Making the noise.
Oh, man. No. That's fine.
The house is on fire.
Yep.
What was I saying? Around February, community contents can convert and create content for Roll20 and sell it via Pathfinder Infinite. That will also have unlocks for Roll20 users, effectively. So they're opening up and making it easier for their their Pathfinder Infinite creators to put stuff up on Roll20 too.
I mean, that's a net positive. So.
It's gotten a little quieter.
It's a little quieter. I mean, it's a net positive. Community-made things are good, especially in this day and age when we don't know when, you know, fucking when OGLs are gonna be a thing or not.
Yeah. So it's sort of like it's another layer to Paizo's support of independent people that make stuff for them.
Meanwhile, Wizards hasn't said anything about the open game license for 1D&D yet, so...
Is it going to be the same, or is it going to be different?
We don't know. I mean, I imagine there's going to be something.
Oh, I forgot to put the link here. I'll throw the link in the chat. Just on the
Paizo
article.
Seems to love community content.
I think it's the thing that Paizo, it feels like they just are watching D&D and are like, they're making a mistake. Let's not do that.
Granted, Paizo does do some bad things.
Yes, I will not deny that. But
but their community outreach tends to be very good.
Yeah, and a lot, and some of the, and a lot, and like they don't purposefully. Well, not that purposefully. The bad things that they do aren't the worst things that they could do.
I mean, one of the bad things they do is they do not charge, like, they don't pay illustrators, like, they pay them the industry standard, which isn't a lot.
Yeah.
Wizards pays more because they're, granted, a large company.
Yeah. And it's the thing is that, like, you'd like it for companies to pay more than the industry standard, but it's sort of like, it's sometimes like, yes, Paizo's doing pretty good, but also, like, I don't know.
Some iffy stuff. But their community outreach and community support is always...
The thing is, like, I don't know Paizo's financials to, like, look at how much they're being profitable.
The thing I know is Paizo isn't the size of Wizards of the Coast.
Yeah. They don't have Hasbro behind them.
No. Absolutely not.
Yeah. So, it's a thing. No company is perfect. You only have to look for the one that's at least decent, mostly decent towards you, and gives you products.
Company's still a company.
Company's still a company. Trust it to look out for itself. If it feels like customer support and customer friendliness and goodwill is a great thing, which it is, and they're smart about that, then hey, a lot of these other companies could learn from that burn people a lot of times. Oh wait, monopolies.
Square Enix.
Square Enix. I'm just gonna say replaying through Parasite Eve makes me just more sad that we will never have another Parasite Eve, because they screwed the license and then they made the awful game of Third Birthday, which
I do like that there was a thing for Square. This is side. There was a thing for Square Enix that was a bit ago that was like seemed like Parasite Eve, and they had to make an announcement to be like, guys, this isn't Parasite Eve, which was just great,
Yeah.
I mean, hey, if they made another one, they just put NFTs in it.
Yes. Well, I mean, well, that was the thing is the thing that wasn't Parasite Eve they were
It was
talking about.
NFTs, yeah.
It was NFTs. Yeah. I don't Square. I just shake my head at.
Square Enix is known for making terrible financial decisions.
Yeah, I will admit though, yeah, Paizo, the market's just so small next to Wizards because Wizards so dominant, you know.
D&D is the Colossus. Everyone knows it. Even if you don't play it, you know it.
Yep. Hey, do you want to play a game set in Iberia? So very like that's the Iberian Peninsula, Spain. Yeah.
Spain and Portugal.
And it's a dark fantasy game. Sima. Put that link in chat there. So they call it an Incense and Iron medieval role-playing game. It is funded with 8 days to go. They say it's a very Iberian-inspired. What is that? I have a chat about that.
History of the Iberian Peninsula isn't a pretty one. So,
yeah.
You know, they got some potential to make something really interesting.
Yeah. So it's like oppressive church, violent conquest and stuff, magic, and the thing is like they're definitely like heading towards a very dark kind of thing, and adding in some stuff like probably like they're like there's undead saints, demons, canonization stuff. So there's probably a very Inquisition. Inspired stuff going on too.
I mean, it's not a known topic, but the Reconquista of Iberia is the longest war in human history, nearly 800 years with no stopping.
Yeah.
So it is a very, very dark history. So I would expect a very dark game.
Yeah. It's like one of those things. It's like I didn't think about it a lot until I saw that, and it's sort of like, yeah, Iberia has a pretty dark history and like a very bloody history, and so it feels like using that as like a kind of creating a dark fantasy around that concepts in there is pretty good, and again, like dark fantasy games becoming a little bit more popular. We've had a couple more of them, and having more is not bad. I think that was the system. I forgot to check that.
I saw a dice number somewhere.
They make Tiny D6, Sword Point, and many more games.
Mechanic.
So they might be. It
does use dice because it does mention dice.
Yeah. Breath of First off of usage dice mechanics.
I'm not familiar with.
As you roll your approaches or use your equipment to solve or address challenges and problems. So I guess approaches is like, okay, I understand the language now. Okay. You are looking for a 5+ on any unmitigated success, with 3 or 4 being success with cost and 1 or 2 being failure. Every roll reduces your die size by 1 step. So attention. Okay. So you start with a larger die and have a higher chance of success. And like when you have to like if things are getting more stressful or things are going on or you kind of fail a little bit and you try again, your dice shrinks and stuff like that.
That's pretty cool.
Interesting. So see,
mechanic.
Yeah, I think that can be, as I said, I think that's a good one for tension. So your dice shrinks as you're using it. So I understand that as a good one. So cool. As I said, if you want the PDF, $10. $25 for
PDF and the book.
Yeah,
$25, which is really cheap.
Yeah. As I said, it's funded, 8 days to go, so it's definitely one that if you're interesting. The sirens are back. Don't worry about it. They'll be passing through again. I think there's. Are they actually on the tour? Are they assembling the tour and just making a lot of noise? I don't know. Curse you, Santa! Curse you!
Santa's coming.
Anyway, I can set this up to throw stuff out while that noise goes through.
Oh man. What's the title of this episode gonna be?
I don't know. I'm just gonna have to put a disclaimer. Warning. This is hilarious.
Santa.
Warning, Santa. I'm just gonna have to include that. Warning, Santa. How about the world of Lien, like Last Light of Creation? It's a campaign setting for 5e, because they call the world's greatest role-playing game, aka 5e.
I mean,
so
I
this
love how they call themselves that.
Yeah.
It's so fucking vain.
It's D&D. Of course they call
I
them.
just love how they call themselves the world's greatest.
This one isn't funded yet, so you might want to just keep an eye on it and make a decision towards the end of its time. It's 13 days to go, but it's got some progress, and maybe shining some light on it. It looks interesting. Yeah. The Giorn are their dominant world. They're kind of in between elves and humans. There are dwarves, halflings, and gnomes, and their kind of thing. So kind of like a half-elf centric kind of thing.
Yeah,
it seems like.
Lightning would love this because it has blood mages.
Yes, blood mage, paladins of constant fame.
It's mage blood.
Mm-hmm. It is filled with mage blood.
Now
they give some information. There's some history of the world. It's a setting book. Honestly, it looks.
Settings are nice. It's not enough of them for 5e.
It looks a little interesting. That's the thing that's why I wanted to shout it out.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that it's not too far funded, but maybe some more light shined on it will give you some support. Again, keep an eye on it. It's like one of those things is even if it doesn't fund, they might redo it or something or figure out something in the
Inspired
future.
by Dragon Age, which I love. I love the world of Dragon Age a lot.
Yeah, mage blood, you say?
Yeah.
We've attracted Lightning's attention with the
blood magic.
Blood magic and mage blood. All right. So honestly, I kind of half check up on these things and don't care a lot of times. There's a lot of games based on intellectual properties of various kinds. And sometimes we talk about them if they're like role-playing games, and there's a lot of board games we don't talk about. But this one, it didn't attract my attention because it's something a little different because it's semi-cooperative. And now this is on GameFound. They aren't up yet, but they have the preview of their campaign, which is going to be launching in January, at the end of January. So if you want to check it out and kind of follow it for when it does launch, it's basically Kickstarter, except you can set up for having Kickstarter. It's Batman Escape from Arkham Asylum. You play as villains, and you can semi-cooperate to escape from Arkham.
Yeah, I mean, I see Bane already, so I love it.
Yeah. Playable characters in the core box are Two-Face, Penguin, Scarecrow, Bane, Poison Ivy, Harley Quinn, and the Joker. I guess it's the thing that it's supposed to be basically a dungeon crawler, which is just such a weird concept of a dungeon crawler Batman game where you're escaping from Arkham. I mean,
it's it could be a great idea.
So that's the thing that's why I'm interested a bit, because it could be a great idea.
I just see a little top hat, so I'm assuming that's the Penguin.
Yeah.
I do find it interesting. They're using a combination of live-action Harley Quinn and comic book Harley Quinn for the art.
I mean, that's not bad if they find
I think I like it because
yeah,
I do like the more newer version of Harley Quinn a lot.
They're trying to find a little bit of their own art style, which is fine. I think that's really acceptable. So you kind of have to plan an escape. You have to defeat your enemies to get free. You could activate the alarm, and Batman could show up. That kind of thing, of course. They've got custom dice. And, are you going to get free from Arkham? It's simple as that. We don't know more now. Again, it's been announced, and we put our Game Found preview up. You can check it out and follow it for when we go live. And,
Yeah. There's an update for, like, it looks like a card-based game as well.
Yeah. I assume it feels a lot like the...
Standard.
Yeah, it feels like a lot of those kind of like dungeon crawl games, like the D&D dungeon crawl games. But like, it's one of those things. Is like I like it when they like put interesting skins on games like that because it changes the dynamic of it and makes it interesting. Again, it's like one of those ones. I'm like, you know what? That seems pretty cool for taking the Batman IP.
Definitely kills people.
He
says he doesn't, but like, man, he punches people in some really bad places, like really hard.
Yeah, we all know it's true. Batman totally does.
They might die like after they've been arrested.
Batman very much so kills people. Yeah,
he's a very violent menace.
He is an angry man that hits people a lot.
Yep. He's also like got, a bunch of gadgets that are very dangerous and deadly. Like the batarang, that's really sharp.
it's a freaking chunk of metal.
It sticks in walls. That's gonna kill someone.
No one talks about that. You're just gonna impale. How is he so accurate? He doesn't get that stuck in someone's back. But anyway. And the last main, news topic is, hey, we've been talking a little bit about the Star Trek Adventures, and, that they put out, like, mission packs and stuff like that. Some of them are, like, a little bigger, and then they charge for them. They put out some free ones, too. So a mixed bag of, like, they get, like, some small ones. They have a Klingon one, which I'm actually happy, because they put out that Klingon, like, core book that you could play as a crew of Klingons. They're supporting that too. That's good. So this is like a, the Klingon Defense Force. So they, it's been received a distress signal from one of the Empire's manufacturing plants in this world of Crab 3. So yeah, you have to discover what happened before the Enterprise B shows up. So it's just like, I guess, that era where it's post, which is actually a very interesting thing because it's post original series when the peace was made with the Klingon, general peace was made with the Klingons. But I don't think it's the full one yet. I don't know when that happened. There's still like, some tensions or stuff. So it's an interesting time period because it's one that we don't have a Star Trek series for. I think,
no, we don't.
So that's very interesting too. Hey, Crab 3, Crabulon Station.
Yeah, true.
Crab! Because everything Klingon has to sound weird and angry. Crab!
Yeah, big crab.
It is a giant crab where they have a mining station on its back where they mine into its shell.
Mobile oppression palace from Futurama.
That's accurate. So, interesting. Again, if you want to check it out, you can see if it's yours if you want to do some Klingon adventures and stuff. So, the topic I chose for today for our deeper discussion was something I actually haven't talked about yet. And, we've sort of talked about here and there. The one-shot. Because I wanted to have it as its own topic. Because the fact is, it's something that we don't really talk about when sessions. And I have to say, like, of all the types of sessions you could run, the one-shot's the most difficult.
Kind of is.
Because you have a limited amount of time to tell your entire story. A limited amount of time to bring your characters together. Make sure they have a dynamic that works. Keep them on track.
Yep.
And you're putting in a lot of work that if your work is not used here, it's not used at all. Yep. So it's sort of like when we make sessions for like long-term games or even like shorter term, like a couple sessions games. If something's not used one session, could be used the next one. We have an opportunity. You know, we still have a couple more sessions. We can finish and use up all our stuff. This one, if your adventuring team doesn't go to point B, they're never going to point B.
No. I don't tend to do a lot of one-shots. Personally. I like doing my longer games.
Yeah. I tried doing some one-shots here and there. I've done, like... The holiday one-shots are always meant to be silly.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
You know, so I don't take them too seriously, which helps. The players don't take them too seriously, which helps. And this is like the Star Trek one on May the 4th be with you. I'm always like bringing in something stupid from Star Wars, you know, that is Star Wars in a Star Trek game, and that's a joke. You know, the holiday ones, like I'm probably not going to do this one this year, but if I do organize it, like, because I haven't been looking, if I find like a stupid adventure, it's going to be kind of stupid and silly and not really that serious, you know. But to do like a one shot where you're doing something like you're testing a system, or you're testing players out, or just you have a very short story you want to tell, it can be a challenge to tell that story in whatever amount of time you have. You, like, again, a lot of stories, you know, you get your beginning, middle, end.
Mm-hmm.
You got that in a short period of time.
Yeah, the 3-arc structure is very difficult to pull off in 3 hours.
Yeah.
That's an arc an hour.
And, like, even if you cheat and you're like, all your characters know each other or doing something together, it doesn't mean anything when the players are there with their characters.
Yeah.
Sort of like, I can know my character knows your character, Momo, if we're in one shot together.
Yeah, but we don't know each other's characters.
Yeah, so
as players, I don't know what the hell you're playing.
Yeah, we don't know how they're going to work together. We do not know how they will interact.
Yeah, when I did the Fallout, quote unquote one, it was supposed to be one shot, but I had to sleep early that day, so I was like, I was pushed. Doing 2. It was 2-shot technically, but whatever. Still similar. Like half the first session was you guys learning each other's characters.
I think it was for the best for that one, for the 2-shot.
It really was, because everyone was learning a brand new system.
Yeah.
So everything was slow, because we had to go over a lot of rules and such.
I feel like that's sort of like, it's one of those things that I always thought about doing one-shots to test a system, and I think that's not the right idea.
I think shorter, like 3 to 4 session games are really good for testing a system.
Yeah. I think that's where if you want to do a test a system. For testing players out, it's like probably the exact same thing, too, it's unfortunate.
Yeah, because people can have a bad day,
you know,
on their one-shot.
Yeah.
Or they don't find their character immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, again, it comes down to, there is a place for a one-shot, for fun little adventures with some friends. Things like I do for, like, the holiday or the May the 4th be with Star Trek spoofs. Those are good one-shot potentials, you know. If you're at a vacation with some people and you got a day to do something, a little fun one-shot, that's not bad, you know.
Yeah,
Welcome, new
Lightning
citizen
high
of
level
the
one
Empire.
shot I think was pretty good because it let people who don't typically experience high level games experience high level gaming, and it encapsulated a nice chunk of world lore that no one has ever really gotten to see before for the people who actually play in that world, which is me, Cell, sometimes you.
I'm just gonna type that out there. Yeah, it's the thing that, like, you know, if you're bringing together a group of people that really know each other and stuff like that, it helps a lot for a one-shot. Then there's a lot better opportunity. Like, you know, Eric, you know, me and Cell, we were able to work together very quickly because we know each other, you know. So it's like, though it did become a 2-shot, we probably could have pulled that off with that 1-shot too.
Yeah, it could have probably been like a 4-hour one-shot.
I think the thing is, like, you have to know the system too. Like,
yeah, the thing with that one as well is I had 2 completely separate stories. You guys didn't see the other story at all. That's gone forever. If you had gone, because you went straight through the forest, which led you to dealing with a vault, If you had gone down the highway, you'd have dealt with bandits, which is a completely different story.
I think it's the thing that, like, I think of, like, it's good to have those things set up too. Like, you know, have some options and be ready for it. For, like, something like 5e, I think a one-shot works pretty well because the system's simple.
It's very easy. It's so easy to make. Well, when you're not doing items, it's very easy to do it.
Yeah, like
items have an extra
low-level one-shot. Yeah. Like 1 to 5 one-shot, where, you know, if they need a magic item, you give it to them right away. If they don't need a magic item, then because you'll have an idea of the enemies you're gonna throw.
When I run one-shots, I usually do it around level 5 because that's when you get your most fun abilities.
Yeah. Pathfinder one-shots. They're a little harder because Pathfinder combat can be more gets harder to run the higher level you get. So it's a catch-22 of, like, you like your characters having a lot of abilities, but the more abilities they have, the harder it is to run with them.
Yeah.
You know,
I personally don't think Pathfinder is built super great for one-shots. I think it is because it's quite a bit of an older system.
Yeah.
I think it works more for these shorter games if you're going to do something short rather than a one-shot because of just the time it takes to make a Pathfinder character.
I think, like, first-level Pathfinder characters probably would work. Why is this so low?
Like, 1 to 3 would probably be fine, but if you want to do, like, a 5th level, you're better off doing, like, a 3 to 4 session thing.
Oh, yeah. Like, those low levels, the thing is, like, again, if you're going to have people either have them make their characters ahead of time for the one-shot, or be people that know Pathfinder. Like, I think you and I, Momo, if we wanted to, could throw together Pathfinder first-level character, like, 15 minutes.
15 minutes. I would. The thing that would take me the longest is archetype.
Yeah, if I want to do archetype or, like, because, like, honestly,
there's just a lot of them.
I think the thing is, like, if someone told me they were doing, I was doing a one shot, I might not do an archetype or, like, any special racial things.
Like, the only time I would do an archetype if it was a one shot would be if I was doing, like, a gunslinger or a wizard.
Yeah, those need them then.
Because they need them. They make them better and they make them more unique of an experience.
Yeah. Like, there's a lot of other ones that, like, just the choices you make normally can have a huge effect and varies it, you know. Fighter, what weapon you take for fighter makes a huge difference, you know. Bard, just your spell selection. You could be...
Yeah, right. I wouldn't touch any racial traits. I'd just be like, what's there is fine.
Yeah. So it's sort of like, you know, and that's a different thing, too. It's like, you know, are you making your characters ahead of time for this one shot, you planning for it, or are you making them right then and there? Because that can add to your possible time. Yeah. How do the people know the system? You know, there's a lot of questions that kind of come up and make it a challenge.
Comparing to 5e, I can make a 5e character in like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that I can say the same. 5e character is a little bit easier to use.
The longest would be for me to remember what the hell standard array is in 5th edition. That's what would take me the longest.
The hardest thing I think is if you are doing it physically in person, it is better to do a one shot than on Roll20 because, hey, guess what? It's easier to write down your character on a sheet of paper than it is to enter it in Roll20.
Roll20, you're going between Roll20 and some website.
Thanks, Layton.
Thank you. Yeah. I can never remember what standard array is because I never use it in my games.
I usually take that because I'm just sort of like whatever average. I think like if people give me more points than the standard array was, then I have to think about it. But
you to play, it's what 5e is balanced.
Yeah, I mean like
your balance. Yeah, it's basically just pre-bot point buy. It's what 5e's balance were. The max you're supposed to have is a 17 at level 1, but if you're human, you can have a 18 if you take a feat.
It just ends up being like, you know, that's another thing, point buy, like arrays, all that stuff. I think that's a conversation that's like an interesting one. That's like not a major conversation, you know, that's like a part of a essence of character building. I don't know.
Yeah, that would need to be a whole other topic because there are do's and don'ts.
Yeah, so maybe that's something I'll add here. Character build.
Everything gets a +1. Well, I think nowadays they might get different because they changed it.
Yeah.
Tasha's.
Yeah.
And they're changing again with 1D&D, which I actually like how they're doing the ability score stuff in 1D&D. And just a side tangent is you get it from your background. I prefer that more. I think that makes background better.
Oh, it does. That was one of those things that they kind of they did it in Pathfinder 2nd edition, not to the same degree that they're doing it now in 1D&D. They're taking it a little farther, but I liked that they did your ability scores are based on your ancestry, your class, and your background, and those affect your ability scores all together. Yeah. And I thought that was a really great way of doing it, because that meant that yes, maybe some of those old things where your species does affect your ability scores a little bit, but it still was it still gave you a lot of choices, and
yeah.
And I think that's the thing is too, and it's sort of giving that all this stuff in your life affected that too. It made a difference, and I think it makes it dynamic a lot more, and I like that. Yeah, so it's there's a lot to a session of a game, even if you keep it very simple, and I have to. The beginning of your story is not only bringing the team together,
yeah,
making sure the team gels, introducing your story, then you've got maybe a scene or two of here's the middle of my story, and then you've got a climax.
Yeah.
And if it's 5e, I might be able to squeeze 2 or 3 battles in there. Something like Pathfinder,
yeah,
probably gonna get one.
Might get one because battles are more in depth in Pathfinder.
Yeah.
You can do a lot more things in combat. I'm of the opinion that one-shots, this is my personal opinion from my experience, I prefer one-shots on the silly spectrum. I think that's when they work the best, in my opinion.
Yeah. I get that. You don't take them too seriously.
Yeah. I think they work best when everyone is being a little bit silly.
I think that's also a good thing, because it's a lot harder to establish that stuff, so not taking it as serious is good.
Yeah. As Lighting said, you don't necessarily need the maximum amount of team cohesion or story, because everyone kind of knows what they're in for with a one-shot.
Yeah. You just need to make sure they're gelling enough.
Yeah. You need to make sure there's a base level of cohesion, that these characters would work together and will work together, and these players will work together. Right?
And the thing is, it's you're either going to have, as you did, you had branching stories that you were set up for.
Yeah.
Or you're just going to have to have...
Yeah,
you're going to have to have things at least very easy to, follow.
Yeah. One-shots are peak railroading.
Yeah. There are systems that I would never one-shot to. I will tell you. I think because of the nature of the characters, I'm not particular towards World of Darkness characters.
I don't think World of Darkness works for one-shots.
Yeah, because the characters in a World of Darkness game are meant to be played multiple sessions. Yes. The way they're designed. Shadowrun. Oh god, no.
No, I would never do Shadowrun one-shots. Do not sound great, just because of the time it takes to deal with Shadowrun.
Unless you did a game with pre-made characters. That's the only way I do a Shadowrun one-shot.
Cyberpunk, on the other hand, is great for one-shots because it is designed for that. So the 2020 and Cyberpunk Red are designed for your characters to die.
Yeah.
You're not meant to play them very long.
And I think that's the thing, too, is that, it's the advantage that Cyberpunk has over Shadowrun. They have very similar veins to them, but, Cyberpunk is made for a lot of that kind of quick action play. Yeah. While Shadowrun, the characters are very much more in depth.
Yeah. I think...
Okay. Chronicles is good for one shot. Oh, that's good to know.
That is good to know. I think my main thing with why I wouldn't do a Shadowrun one shot is just because for me, it takes forever to make a Shadowrun character.
I said, pre-made's maybe the way to go.
Yeah.
I think that's another thing, is you can have pre-made characters and just be here's a character, add personality to it.
Yeah. No, you can also do weird stuff with one-shots, right? Because, story time. I was watching a VOD the other day of a D&D one-shot.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they made their characters, they logged into D&D Beyond, and they hit the random button. So they just can play completely randomized characters.
Okay.
And that was what they played. They were terrible, because spoilers, randomized stats are never going to be good. But it was hilarious, and everyone had a lot of fun, and that's what the most important part of a one-shot is. You have fun. But you can do random characters for a one-shot as well.
And I can see how what Lightning says, if you avoid mages and hackers, it's a lot easier.
That is where Shadowrun gets a lot of its complexity from his matches, the mages and hackers. Yeah.
The thing is, like, I'm going to say this here because I've made a bunch of Shadowrun characters and played with a lot of people, is that comes to the complexity of playing it. Building a character, even without those, you can still be very complex. I'm sorry, like, the skill monkey type character, finding out what skills you need and balancing them can be very difficult. Hey, a street samurai. How much essence do I have and how much cyberware can I shove in my fucking body?
That's why when you do cyberpunk, you just don't let people do net running.
Yeah.
Because, well, net running is fun. It's a whole other game. And it's... Definitely do not do it for one-shots, because you have to build the entire network that they're going to be playing in. They don't give you one, you have to build it.
See, that's the thing is, like, I think it's one of the reasons I do like the Shadowrun books a little bit, the adventures, is, well, for one thing, 4 and 5e, the two editions I support, you know, screw 6th. Those two, at very least, the 3 systems are basically run the same. They could just be parallel to each other. That does help, you know?
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, the adventure I have mentions what happens if you have astral stuff. It mentions what the security systems have if you hack in. You know, like the one I always was thinking of running. Just because I had attempted to run a pre-made adventure in person, but things happened with people. I believe I've mentioned the person who shapeshifts into a bird and tried to use a gun as a bird. That happened when I tried to run that.
Nice.
You just have to be like, say to someone like, okay, cool, you used magic to shapeshift into a bird.
Birds can't shoot guns. They don't have hands.
You don't have hands. You don't have the strength to pull the trigger. Nope. Or even if you manage to pull the trigger, you're not aiming at anything.
You're not accurate. You don't have the hands or the dexterity to handle a gun.
That's a person that it's the unfortunate thing of, like, I did enjoy playing with them. I don't have an opportunity to play with them anymore because I took a step back and said, I don't want to DM for them anymore. And so when other friends DM'd with them, they dealt with that, you know, in their characters. And I don't play in a lot of in-person games anymore, so that kind of went. He was a very nice guy. Again, if someone else offered me a game with both of us as players, I'd jump at that. I'm not gonna run a game with that guy anymore. I can't handle the shit.
Fair.
I've handled enough of it.
I know. One-shots are also good, and, well, I personally don't like it. One-shots are good for getting the little gremlin min-maxering you out of them.
I can see that.
Because I never want to see a min-max character again after what Cell made.
It's this weird thing of, like, I made a lot of min-max characters years ago. And I know I did. But, like, nowadays, by the time I've gotten to it, like, certainly, if I'm playing a Pathfinder character, by the time I've done it, it will be fairly min-max. But the thing is, it will have taken me, like, I'm going to say, my Hobgoblin Archer that I played through Rise of the Rune Lords with didn't really start out too min-maxed. You know, it was sort of like, I had a pretty deep... Hobgoblins get some dexterity. I had, like, an 18 dexterity, you know, and stuff like that. And, like, some good abilities. But I built my character over, like, 15 levels, and then it was gross min-maxy. But the thing is, that kind of happens anyway.
Yeah.
A lot of times.
Like, you can look at, when I was playing Rio, he was disgusting. He ended encounters. That was what he was built to do. It took 10 levels, basically. There.
But again,
It's like
like
8 or 9 levels.
what you're saying with like, sell on just right then and there, it was just like, what?
That was that's why I banned that combination of things.
It's like I've grown into grossness, but it feels more natural and it feels like it's deserved.
When
When
you're
I like,
gross out the gate,
yeah, when you're like gross off the gate, it just is like it's just sometimes too much.
yeah.
And I'm just not a fan of it anymore. I think it's like why for when we did the 5e Cyberpunk, I did generic.
You get very generic, man.
Yeah, because I'm like, it's what I like nowadays more.
Is the technically legal rules as written spam mage armor to recharge your ward? That is technically allowed by the rules of D&D. It's bullshit, and as DM, you should ban it.
I will always remember.
Make Abjure Wizard broken as shit.
I will always remember. Remember 4E? When it first came out, someone figured out, I think it was a 11th level ranger with the multi-class rogue abilities could kill Orcus.
I remember this,
Alone.
That was eroded out.
It was eroded out. But shit like this doesn't get eroded out anymore. Because, like, this stuff is gross, but it isn't, I kill the strongest thing we put in a book gross.
Kill Orcus gross. It's, like, nasty, but it's like it's broken. When everything is broken, nothing is broken, is kind of how I look at a lot of 5e.
Yeah. It's again like it's one of those it's the continued complaints that I think a lot of us have for 5e now that we've had a lot of time to play with it and dive into a lot of depths of it. Is 5e is very good at what it does, but it's also very bad at doing anything else.
It's a power fantasy system, and that's it.
Yeah. You start out again. I don't mind it. You start out very powerful. Again, as much as I like Pathfinder. Like, if I'm also planning a one-shot, I'm probably not going to do Pathfinder one-shot. Like, granted, there might be stories to be told at one-shot Pathfinder, but I'm like, if I'm really doing it, it's 5e, because 5e, your character's going to be powerful enough and put up with shit. Pathfinder...
one-shots that are officially released. Here's the thing. None of them are low level.
Yeah.
Because you're meant to put them in your campaign.
Yeah. A lot of, like, and some of them are like, hey, this is part of, like, a storyline. You can run it on its own, or you can be part of a storyline. And, I think that's one of the good things about it is sort of like we put out a series of one-shots that fit together. If you just need a one-shot, great. If you need a storyline, here it is too. And the thing is, like, also, it's like, I think the concept of one-shot is also difficult to say because it depends. You say one-shot, it means you do it all in one setting, but that's not always easy. Like, if I'm off stream or in person with people, I could probably dedicate, let's say, like, I'd be like, let's start at like 7 o'clock and finish this one shot. We'll if it goes too late, we'll end at midnight. That means I could probably, if I'm doing an off stream one shot with some friends, probably dedicate, like, but still online, I could probably convince some people to give me 5 or 6 hours, just in case. If I'm streaming, I could maybe get 3 or 4 out of it.
Yes.
3 hours is not a lot of time.
Streaming adds another layer. Streaming is kind of a little bit exhausting for everyone involved because we as players have to be entertaining. Here's the thing: there is extra pressure for us to be entertaining.
I think it's one of those things that's actually, because I do a lot of stuff on stream now, has helped me with a lot of my characters, because a lot of them I tend to turn up a lot, and when I do them, I do them very hard, so to say.
I just play the straight man in every game I play.
Generic was the closest thing to a straight man, but it was just
I don't think you can say that when you became like emissary to the Rat King.
It started out that way. It didn't stay that way.
Well, you say that when you start hanging out with sewer rats.
I did have the ability to speak with sewer rats, and it was kind of hilarious. It's sort of like also like, you know, like I it's an interesting thing of like, I will take my character that I've been doing for Worm's Traveler game, where most of the time I'm very quiet and like out there, that I'm like supposed to be like I'm pretty smart but I have no education kind of guy, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like going by like just the basic things I learned, but like I've gotten some very impassionate things in there, you know, and it's just when it triggers, I can't hold it back, because it's sort of like, I've done over the last so many years so much more stream stuff, it becomes more like impassionate that I play a lot of characters. I think that's helped me for character playing, and like, you know, that I'm doing so much stuff like that, you know, and it's helped me for my DMing, certainly. But again, like, not everybody's going to be like that anyway.
Certainly is interesting when that happens, especially when you are like, when you decide to just sass the villain in the middle of her monologue, and you're like, well, I don't want to monologue anymore. Fuck you.
I think it's also like
force fighting at you.
I think it's just me as a person just can't take shit anymore. Like, I think that's what it is. It's like, I've gotten to that age where I just don't take shit no more. And so a lot of my characters lately have been reflected on I just don't take shit anymore.
All the time.
I try to hold back the sass, but it just doesn't happen anymore.
Badger was too stupid to be effectively sassy.
He was. Oh, God. Yeah, I do agree with you, Warren, that a one-shot is basically a single story arc.
Yeah.
And
it's an open and shut story in 3 acts.
I think it's just making it feel concise enough can be the difficulty. It's you might almost not have a middle is the problem, and you're just gonna have to like figure out how to like go straight from the beginning to the end, and hopefully it's fine.
Like the Fallout one I ran, had the beginning, it's always gonna be the same. Ending was more or less always gonna be the same. You're always gonna fight an Enclave dude.
Mm-hmm.
The middle was just, how do you get to that Enclave dude?
It was certainly interesting that we had our arc like that, and just building into that.
Yeah.
I think it
also helps that a system is built for that kind of branching gameplay.
I think like it's one of those things that like I try like I'll take example. May the 4th be with Star Trek.
Yeah.
I have to plan that ahead. You know.
Yeah.
Like now I'm gonna tell you, so like it's planning ahead stuff. For Buccaneers, I do have to build stuff ahead because there's maps, there's character sheets of enemies, but that's about what I have to enter into. Like I have to enter like, you know, I am so happy because when you guys didn't get in a fight with those people, it made it easier because I entered enough on their character sheets, but many of them had spells and shit that I would have been looking up stuff if we got into combat with them. I don't have to fuck around with that stuff, and like, because I knew it's time consuming to drag and drop a lot of that stuff in.
It is. Like, when they have a lot of spells, it is really difficult.
And it's 2 spellcasters and a barbarian. I was just like, I put in the basic stats, and I just did not feel like dragging on stuff. Like the demon, you know what I can do? I can look up the demon and drag and drop his character. The only thing that doesn't show up is, guess what? The spells when I do that, so I have to look those up. Quite a fucking harsh spells too, but don't worry, it's probably not going to use a lot of them or something. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
But, you know, there are certainly a lot of, like, you know, doing that. Entering and creating these character sheets. And their Pathfinder character sheets, they take a little time.
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't have to do a lot of time when it comes to plot and all that stuff, because it's built in. I can work off of what I know the plot should be, and then play off the characters. So I can basically improvise the story using what's written in combination with what you do. For, like, May the 4th be a Star Trek, I have to, like, at least be like, here are the 3 arcs I want, the 3 parts I want. And then I have to try to hit them all up correctly, and it's not always easy. And I feel like, I think, like, I should write the 3 arcs as if I'm going to do it 3 hours, but give myself 4 hours for that session, just in case.
You really should give yourself a little extra time.
Yeah.
I know, because when I do my games, I do a lot of custom monsters. So prepping, like, I'll use, like, the Fallout system because I've been reading it and testing it a lot.
Yeah.
When I do 5e, I make all the custom monsters. That's, like, a lot of work. A lot of time. It takes a big portion of my day to make the monster, roll it out, play test it, make changes, keep tweaking it, make sure it's perfect. Sometimes it doesn't end up perfect. That's fine. For the Fallout game, all I have to do to make a character in that is put in its special array and make sure the math works. That's it. I have to make sure it is mathing correctly, that they have the proper target number.
I think that's another reason why, like, I'm going to say, in comparison to 5e, I do think using Roll20, Pathfinder's a better system.
Yes. I
can just use monsters. A lot of those monster stats are just in there that you can drag and drop into a character sheets. It doesn't take long then. And there's a lot of maps provided online. So, like, honestly, if I wanted to pad out, like, a decent Pathfinder one-shot on Roll20, it probably would take me a lot less time than in person. That's a kind of catch-22 of, like, the system and how you're doing it, I think, makes a difference of how easy it is to prep for it, too. As Lightning was saying, for our high-level one-shot, that takes a lot of time, because it's really high-level, honestly.
It took us a long time to even make the character, because there's just a lot that went into it.
Yeah, those characters are very complex.
Just like the items and dealing with 2.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God. The items.
But yeah, I think one-shots, again, work at their best when they're silly, when they're fun. I think serious one-shots are... If you're gonna do a serious game, I think you should do, like, a 3-session thing or more.
Yeah.
Because the people will get invested a little more in your serious story if it's longer than 3 hours.
Like, if you're gonna do, like, the Pathfinder one-shots, like if you really are going to do them, I'd say, like, look into, like, the series ones, because then you could just play them as one big adventure, that there are different story arcs, where, like, oh, this point we're fighting these kobolds, and then, oh, we have to go after their boss or something, then that's another story arc or something like that it leads from one to the other. I feel like that's kind of like, maybe you could almost describe the essences of, like, Lost Mine as a series of one-shots attached together.
It kind of is, to an extent.
Yeah, well, granted.
Well, the reason why Lost Mines feels the way it does, and I've actually learned this by reading through a lot of 5e adventure modules. In 5e, the levels 1 to 3 in every adventure are always side quests that are not connected to anything to get you to level 3. That's why in Lost Mines, the first 3 levels don't mean anything. They aren't connected to the plot, and the plot starts to, and the plot doesn't start until you are level 3. But it shows so badly in that, because Lost Mines is a level 1 to 5 adventure compared to, like, Witchlight, which is 1 to 10 or something.
Yeah. Where, like, you could easily have it, like, there, like, stuff that's kind of side questy, but maybe, like, hints at the main quest a little bit more, and it feels that. Yeah.
Curse of Strahd, it recommends it just tells you can skip the 1 to 3.
Yeah.
You don't need to do that. Rise of the Frost Maiden, the first 2 levels are a little bit disconnected, but it all does tie back to the Eternal Winter problem. Whereas Lost Mines, it doesn't. Doesn't tie back to anything that's going on.
Okay.
They've gotten better at writing them as time has gone on.
I think it's that thing is like, I could probably run the Goblin Caves of Lost Mine as a first level D&D one shot.
Oh, usually it is in itself a small 3 arc story. You get on the cart, ambushed. You learn your friend is missing. Go to Goblin Cave, save your friend, go to town. It's an open and shut story.
Yeah. So it ends up just being figuring out, like, again, you can take excerpts from a game and run them as a one-shot that way if you really wanted to, or like something pre-made like that. Or you just figure out what you want to do when you want to have a one-shot. Like, I said some times for it, and yeah, having, if it's something that, like, you've got a little time, you want to play some D&D, keep it still lighthearted, you can play a relatively, in quotations, serious setup if you're running something pre-made, but keep it a little, like, lighthearted in spirit, I guess, is sort of like it is. Like, if your characters say or do something silly, play off of it, because you don't really need this serious depths or something, you can take something that's built serious and certainly allow it to keep a tone that's less serious.
Like, when I think of the Christmas one-shot from, like, 2 years ago or something, there was, like, me lighting Joe, Umber. I don't know if there was another player in that or not.
Lindsay?
Oh, yeah, Lien played that weird-ass monk. Lien did play a character in that. The bits I remember, the stupid, silly bits, the most.
Yeah.
Like, all of Lindsay's character just being a depressed man. Or Umber capturing an imp and trying to hide it in his pants. The imp was bigger than him. He was a halfling.
I forgot he tried to hide his pants. Yeah, it's sort of like, see, like, the thing is, I remember that differently because I remember, like, the basic story and stuff. And
yeah,
honestly,
I don't remember any of the story.
Because, like, that's where, like, I'm the GM. I'm going to remember it differently. I'm the one in charge of it. Like, the players, you do want them to have a little bit of that, like, memory.
I do remember you were a samurai dragonborn and you didn't want to say your name because it was Draconic. And Draconic is a dumbass language that is impossible for the human tongue to pronounce.
I think that's why you didn't want to say it. It's like, you guys aren't going to say it correctly. Just don't bother.
Yeah.
Yeah, figure out what, and I don't think it's saying that you have to have it silly. I think it's the other thing too.
You can do a very serious one shot. Like, it's my personal preference that they're silly. You can perfectly fine do a very serious one shot to set something up, or just, like, in general, because Curse of Strahd opens up with a very serious one shot, and the one shot has problems, but it is a decent story.
I think it's the thing that, like, what you're playing, and because you're with people for a light, it's easier for people to be comfortable if it's lighter in tone. So it's sort of like, I think that's kind of where we're saying it. Like, understand who you're playing up to and what's going to work best for them. If I'm a group of friends, and I just grab us for a one-shot, I could probably be as serious as I want to.
Yeah.
Because, we know each other. Yeah. But if it's got, like, maybe a new person, or, like, we're doing something a little different or something like that, that's going to make people a little less comfortable, the lightheartedness will cut through that.
I mean, like when I did the Cyberpunk game, it was a little silly, admittedly, but it was a very serious game.
Yeah.
You were cops. It was a very serious cop game, right? It had a very serious, very dangerous threat. I wouldn't do that for a one shot, right?
Yeah.
Like, I'd have something a little more silly, lighthearted. Like, I would, instead of doing, like, that, I'd do something really fucking stupid, like, I don't know, elf drug bust. Sure.
I think
The elf's got into Santa's special supply.
Like, I was a human raised by halflings that, you know, was the most generic man in existence.
There was like a 60-year-old man.
There was a 60-year-old man
with a talking gun.
Who was like 1 day away from retirement.
Perpetually 1 day away from retirement. His wife was a luchador wrestler. Right? Like, yeah, that's silly, but the game was still very on the serious
I think
side.
it's like we could have that air of silliness, but could play it seriously. And I think that's where it might be good, because it'll cut through some of that. Like,
because like, you were dealing with some like really serious shit. Like someone creating an army of actual zombies.
Yeah.
And creating a big fucking flesh portal. One of the characters ended up horrifically traumatized at the end of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah, this damn capybara broke into the drugstore and they've eaten all the alchemist's special supply.
And Worm, hey, I will always remember the 3rd edition Draconomicron, where it had like 2 pages of translations of Draconic into common tongue, aka English.
Yeah.
So yes, people have probably expanded upon what that is. Certainly.
Oh, definitely. I mean, yeah, Lightning was also a giant horny snake woman in that game.
Yeah. It's fine. Again, that's with most games, is finding a balance between a little bit of joviality and seriousness.
Yeah.
And,
like, there's always going to be some silliness because players are silly, right? We like our silly stuff.
Yeah.
You need
we're
comedy
weird people
to balance out the tragedy.
Yeah. Just gotta find a balance sometimes, and that's a challenge. And
yeah.
Understanding where it is. I think that's something we've talked about in other games, and I think in something like a one-shot, it marries true more than most other games, because you have such a short period of time to do it. If you would have longer and more time to work on it, then certainly you know, figuring out a tone that's appropriate would be, or like, if you have something a lot darker and more serious, you could have more of that tone, you know, and have that kind of come in. Not impossible, just harder as a one shot.
Yeah, because you can't, like, if you're running a one shot and you drop fucking like genocide into it immediately, you're gonna kill the mood. But if you're doing like a 50 session game, and then session like 30, that comes up, hey, people are invested in this world already.
Yeah. I think that's the thing is, like, whatever you want to do in a one-shot, think of it when it comes to the story and how you're telling the story, it is going to be harder. Because you have less time and less investment. And those are the 2 things you're going to have to keep in mind. So keeping it lighter, more jovial, is easier because you don't have to have as much investment. You don't have to have as big a story, you know? Not that you can't tell it, but you're giving yourself a much higher hurdle. And the more time you have, the more sessions you have, the easier it is to do that. And the one shot is probably the worst place to introduce a lot of stuff. You know, like, I wouldn't introduce a serial killer in one shot. I might introduce a murderer that, like, you know, maybe your people, you know, like, the town is a small town with not a lot of guards, and, like, you're some adventurers that have been known to help out in the region, and the town guard hires you to help find a murderer. There's your basically cop game, but, you know, one-shotty, you know, and it could be just, like, I don't know, drug deal gone bad, or, like, you know, a thief that killed someone.
Just damn capybara.
That damn capybara. Honestly, if I was going to do those capybara, it'd be like those weird, like, animal people. Except it's a capybara man.
Just a capybara man.
Who's really high on drugs.
Really high on drugs.
I just will always remember the capybaras that got
It's up in multiple games.
I would kill them. It's Lightning's fault.
We did kill like 10 capybara in the basement full of drugs.
None of us knew what a capybara was.
Yeah, no, you were the only one who would have. Because the only other place they're native is like human land, and you had been to human land before.
I was born there. I just didn't make my check. I was just like, they're something. They seem familiar. I just don't know what they are. They looked like big rats. Maybe they're dire rats or something like that, because everything needs to be dire.
Yep.
Ah.
Like a dire capybara now.
It'd be like larger and armor plated, but it would still be just as stupid.
It'd still be really stupid. Yeah.
It still would be like a CR like
it's
half.
Still a capybara.
It's still a capybara. It still just sits there and eats stuff, and it's like, this seems harder to kill. It seems to be ignoring our attacks.
Yep. It's got 20 strength. Yeah, it's got 20 strength and 20 con, but it chooses not to use the strength.
I mean, it probably just give it like no actual attacks except for like trample.
Yeah, it just tramples you as it moves about its day.
It's like a huge capybara that just tramples people by accident. Or if you spook it, it runs away and it might trample you.
Yeah, now I have to make that for a game.
It has no actual attacks except for like I don't know what 5e trample is. Do they have that?
5e does not have trample.
Pathfinders is just like you get like a slam attack, and it doesn't normally have a slam attack except when it tramples. That's the capybara.
Well, elephants have trample, but it's not the same.
Yeah. Dire were half dragon demonic capybara. Look,
True.
You could play a were capybara in Pathfinder.
I'd allow it.
I played sorry Blaze. In Blaze did a lycanthrope game, and of course I had to choose were Deinonychus. Because it's an animal and it was appropriate.
You love that capybara do actually exist in Pathfinder, but they're called donkey rats.
Mm-hmm. Blaze appropriate response to my... Look, I was not the worst character in that game. Thank you very much. I just still... I didn't help. None. As soon as you gave us lycanthrope, none of us could make real decent characters because none of us had great ideas.
Oof.
That was the same game with the badger that could rage 3 times.
Ah.
That's what someone built. Anyway, were badger barbarian frenzy berserker, which was basically a barbarian prestige class. But the thing is, as soon as they took damage, they'd have to make a will save or all 3 rages would activate. I think they gained like 12 or 14 strength or something. It was ridiculous. It was like they went from like 0 to... And they started with like an 18, so they went up to like a 32. So they went from 0 to super murder. But the thing is, Frenzy Berserker also can attack your allies. You have to like make checks each turn to not attack the nearest living thing. So we didn't stand near that man when he was murdering anything. Anyway. But there's the one shot. It's a fun idea a lot of times. It's a lot of work.
Yeah.
The easiest campaigns, the simplest adventures to run, are like 2 or 3 shots, to be honest.
Yeah.
If you want to have something fun for a little while that's simple and easy, just do a 2 or 3 shot.
Yeah, I agree.
If you only have time for a 1 shot, then good luck. You could also go the extreme, which I don't know if we've talked about, to go to the comedy games, which I've been in some. I've never run a successful comedy game. I've been in some comedy games. Nothing happens in those games. Shenanigans occur, you have some laughs, and you call it a day.
A little too much joke.
I think the one that was the closest is we fought and defeated a like level 1 gnomish vampire. The joke was his fangs were too weak to bite through anybody, so he had to use a magical +1 straw.
Fair enough.
The game was weird.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I will always remember that game. I can't say I didn't have a good time. It was just weird. And that's a kind of one shot you can have. It's not gonna be great, but you might remember it. Anyway. Blaze was that too, wasn't he? No. No, it was 3 of our other friends. Blaze was a different one. Alright. That person was good at doing, like, silly one-shots. We had a couple of them. And they worked out pretty well and had plot? sort of plot. But, anyway. Let's talk about our week in gaming. We did have a finale, didn't we?
That was this week. About
that. Should I talk about that?
Yeah, you can talk about it. I'm not talking about how I never rolled above fucking 10.
God. My brain's been so fried. I'm trying to remember everything that happened.
We fought an army.
That's right. We fought the army. Oh god.
Army of shadow people.
That's right. I remember now. Okay. So we fought an army of shadow. I think that also the thing is I positioned myself in a great spot, but the first 50% of the battle, I did jack shit.
50% of the battle was them attacking a gate.
Yeah. As soon as they breached the gate, I started murdering them, which was great.
Yeah.
And we did a good fight. We defeated the dragon guy. There felt like there was some unfinished business, but... Oh yeah, there was. The lady that was making portals. We never found her.
She'll probably get found in a separate game or something.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like... I think that was the one thing about the end of the game, which was kind of bugging me, and I remembered later in the week, is oh yeah, we didn't do anything about her. We did something...
probably fine.
Yeah. And I understand, I feel like that game... It's one of those things. I know I came in that game to save it because it was having such trouble. It sounded like.
Well, not really to save it. We just kind of needed the fourth.
It's the catch-22.
The game kind of died because a bunch of life stuff happened immediately after you joined, which caused me to basically not be mentally there.
There was a combination of things going on in that game, which wasn't good. It sounded like maybe it wasn't dying. I wasn't really saving it, but there was a little bit of trouble because there was not enough players. You were trying to make
only 3 players. One character was meme. Cell was mega meme.
Oh yeah, Noble.
They're basically kind of 2 meme characters.
The Noble was very mean.
The Noble cleric was very meme.
It sounded like they were better by the time I joined.
Yeah, they got better. Cell's character was oops all random, which I'm never a fan of, but Cell had fun at least, so.
I mean, it's one of those weird things is sometimes you can join a lot easier. And I had very good reasons to join.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's feel like having someone added in and carrying a crown.
A little bit.
That's kind of what it felt like to me, and I could understand that because, I understood, having talked to people after that of, the story is kind of hard to add people into. I felt like where it was going on in the story, it wasn't impossible. It just felt like I was sort of involved with it, but I wasn't as latched on as the other characters were. And I felt like you introducing a new character, it was easier because you knew what had happened anyway.
Yes. The thing with my character that came in after the other character died was she was an expert on these kind of monsters, and her people have dealt with them before.
I was just...
That was kind of her deal. You were kind of just a random goblin.
I was just a mercenary that, was around and had some skills at investigating things. They were like, we need someone to help with this investigation. Do you know anything about that? I'm like, I guess so. Great, you're joining them.
The problems for that game started when I had life stuff come up that made me mentally unavailable, and as soon as I introduced a new character, I never rolled above a 10.
You had some very bad luck in that character.
It was really bad. But the game finished. It was alright. It was a fun ending. Yeah. Battle was really fun.
It was a good battle. I think
it was
the ending
fun to watch from the sidelines as I missed every attack I made.
It was one of those things that I don't know. I think it was a fine ending. It was good enough, and sometimes that's all you can ask for in a game. You don't want a bad ending. You can't always get those great endings. Having one that's fine enough that you can be like, that's good. I enjoyed that ending. I think that was it.
It was an enjoyable ending.
Then I had Worms game on Monday, which we were dealing with trying to find out where this man hit a key on an old derelict giant mega ship that is being salvaged, slowly over time. There's apparently 3 colonies. There's slightly lawful colony in the middle, which we found out was under quarantine, where one of our races gets killed by this virus, and humans, which I am, get horribly sick, though. We survive. It's not fatal to us. It just sucks. So, middle area that's actually civilized, quarantine. There's an area controlled by pirates. It's slightly, quotation lawful. It's just you have to deal with it's owned by pirates. And then there's free-for-all region. It was a great place to explore. We managed to find a person that was basically hired on to help deliver this person to a place to hide the key. And we made a deal with them to smuggle them off the place because they had the disease and survived it. But because they had the disease, they're basically still under the quarantine and they need to get off. So we're I guess we'll make a deal with you and get you off this area, sure. And I think that's where we left off. We were going to go, we were dealing, I remember. There was also something related to, we had to steal something back from the pirates. That they, so sort of look, I'll guide it to you. You have to get me off the station. Get me off the station. That's very easy. That's delivering them somewhere. But they're look, that's paying for part of it here. What I really need you to do is I need you to go to the pirate area, and they stole something of mine. I need you to steal it back from the pirates. So that's where we're at now. We have to break into the pirate area and steal something from pirates. Oh, she needed a clean bill of health from the doctors, but all the doctors were taxed and unable to make appointments. Oh, so that's why she couldn't get off. She couldn't get through the quarantine. Okay, gotcha. So yeah, we're gonna steal from pirates, and hopefully not get caught.
Good luck.
We'll see how this goes. Do you have a game on Tuesday?
We did have a session on Tuesday. It was kind of more of a nothing session. We went to help a dude who believed that lizard people were infiltrating the government. But here's the thing, though. He's actually correct. Because I play the lizard people that are actually infiltrating that planetary government.
Okay.
So, yeah. Yeah. So that was a thing. I don't know why we're infiltrating it. We are. And we just basically protected a dude, killed an assassin. That was session. Kind of a nothing session to kind of a nice easy one because we're not gonna have another session till January. That's the first month of your January. Because holiday stress.
Yeah.
For the DM.
Oh yeah,
we're taking a 2 to 3 week break.
I can see that going on, especially because
it's holiday. He's a retail manager.
Yeah,
He works he works the dairy department, which is the busiest, one of the shittiest departments during Christmas, because all food involves something from there.
Good times. Not so good.
Yeah,
times.
we also made a bunch of money from that job.
Cool. We had a session on Wednesday.
We did things.
Honestly, it was pretty fun. I think the thing is, I feel the way that this entire side of the story has been played so far this session, I've been having a really great time, and I'm very happy about that. It's sort of we're in season 5 of 6. We're very far in the game. It could be burned out, but
it's still very fun.
You guys have been doing really fun stuff and being very creative, and it helps me feel great about it all.
What's very fun and interesting for me is I made Misty Chelix without ever assuming that was going to come up.
It comes up a lot.
It comes up a lot, apparently.
like the thing is, making your backstory that you were actually like a big inquisitor. I'm like, I could use that so many ways.
Big inquisitor that did a bad, then did a treason,
Yeah,
and then was exiled basically. Well, voluntarily, they would have killed me.
You escaped Cheliks.
Did a bit of a treason.
Yeah. That kind of thing has opened up so many opportunities for me, and it's very good. You know, it's sort of like the story is still the pirate ships, but there's like this secondary story of Misty and Cheliks that can be there, and it doesn't overpower the main story, and it works well.
It's more of a little bit of a background story. Like, it gets us some extra conversations with the other Cheliks exiles.
Yeah. And so, like, you came to Hell's Harbor because the Lord of Hell's Harbor, the ex-Cheliks admirals, like, something's going on. There's a lot more room. Like, there's always been rumors about them, but they're flaring up especially bad now. Something's going on that everybody's talking about, really, like, badly about me. And he pointed to these exiles that run a tavern turned into a theater. Yeah. And it turns out he was right to a degree. Yeah. They're rumor mongers hired on by the royal family of Cheliks.
Yep.
And it turns out one of them really hates her position.
Fair.
You know, because she would rather just be like an opera singer in Cheliks. But because she's under the thumb of the royal family, she can't get into that.
Nope.
So, she's like, I can't directly betray them, but if I die on paper,
loophole.
Then loophole. She's doing the most Cheliks thing possible. I want a legal loophole of you murdering me and my kind of weird tiefling girlfriend. You can have our friend, who's kind of our friend, been our associate working here, as rumor mongers, and he can go to get executed by Aranax, and then but this is after a big investigation, asking around town, going to a couple of shows, and a couple of things of your infiltration plans up until then failed. You did try a couple of things. Like, Joe failing to sneak in there was a big thing that actually helped you guys. And one of them, I made knowledge local checks to recognize you. I did. And one of them actually rolled like a 19 and had decent local. And I'm like, they didn't really need a lot, but they still could have not recognized you.
Yeah.
So, and the thing is, it was the tiefling who brought it up after the show that you had been there. That's like a thing that, it's like, that's something we should keep an eye out on, if they're in town, especially because of the nature of who they actually were, that they're technically agents of Cheliks, and you're very anti-Cheliks. They knew it.
Yeah. I think it was a very fun session despite the failing. And I'm partially going to take credit for the talking, because I was the one who actually suggested a peaceful route first.
Yeah. I think it's because they set them up as being Cheliks exiles the first place. Granted, there are so many ways, the thing is, Aranax suggests right away, just break in late at night.
Yeah.
Aranax goes the route of, just do, break in, you won't wake them up, and then, find the information, come back to me, It's he doesn't even suggest scouting. He's just just go at these times of night in case something goes wrong, And his technically is the worst possible suggestion.
It's not a great plan. You always, if you're gonna break in somewhere, you have to scout it up.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the rules of breaking in.
I think it's the thing of the way the thing is set up. Certainly, it doesn't give me the peaceful solution automatically, but it gives these hints of it in various places.
That's kind of something I like about some Pathfinder pieces. They do often have a peaceful solution. You just have to work really hard before it.
Yeah. Again, it was this one statement that screamed to me what was going on in the background. They talk about the character of all these people. The Gorebeard, he's just kind of violent, and he likes fighting, and he gets and he's kind of like a murdery actor, and he gets to enjoy that on stage. Nightshade, the poor woman is like of like a
It's like a horrible, like translucent skin woman.
Yeah, so she has a lot of issues on her own. You know, she's not a very nice person, but you know, life has kind of put her that way. They do kind of hint a little bit at the relationship between those two. I made it a little more serious, but they don't, like, again, like, because they don't give full character arcs. They kind of like give little hints that there could be something. And then of course the diva herself, where like the one statement is that she's incredibly bitter about not being basically on the main stage. You know, it's this one statement that tells you her mindset very quickly, and then negotiating with them, you finally get that mindset. When you get into a situation where you can negotiate with them, if you break in, you're not getting that.
No.
If you confront them all together, you're probably not getting that. You know, kind of having that opportunity to separate them out, and like when you chatted with the one, it opened up that opportunity. I thought it was very good. Yes, it's the tiefling that, because people have treated her like a monster all her life, she kind of goes that route.
She's also Chelish, and in Chelish, tiefling are just automatically like slaves.
Yeah. It's probably the reason why she was kind of like put into this. It's honestly probably like all of them are in like terrible situations, generally speaking, you know? They don't say why the diva, whose name escapes me because she's just got a name. The ones
she's not hard to say.
Yeah, it's like Lady Nightshade, easy to remember, you know, and then Gorebeard. I can't remember his other name, but his one name is Gorebeard.
Very easy name to remember.
Yeah, but it's like they don't say the reason why she got into the situation where she's under the Paldane's throne's, control. But I would assume something happened that she's in this situation and under their thumb.
Yeah.
So I felt it was very fun and very good storytelling, and honestly, a good session.
That was a really good session, yeah.
So arranging a fake death next time, a murder on paper. Thursday, did you have your?
Yeah, on my Thursday game. They went to town, did a little bit of talking. They went to an abandoned mine that they've been looking for. And fought some horrific plant monsters that had infested the mine. They killed them. It was actually a pretty deadly plant monster, but they did kill it. Then they went back to their home base, the main town, and Cell got to do his thing, where he removed his lungs. In doing so, he may have absorbed, like, a portion of a primordial, and now has entered some form of deal with said primordial to start doing things with the natural magics of the world that might, have some implications.
Excellent.
But Cell has 10 con now instead of 8, so the Cell has like 5 more HP than he would have. So good for him.
Good for him.
And now it's going to be 2 months of downtime next session.
Cool.
Because winter is approaching, and they're in the Arctic. So you're not leaving town that easily.
Yep. Did you do anything on Friday?
Friday, we did have a game on Friday. We fought the cat with sleep breath and a snake coming out of it. I forget the name
Slacer
of it.
Beast?
No. It's the one with the sleepy breath. We fought one in Buccaneers. It was in a dining room.
Oh, God, yeah.
I don't remember his name, but we fought one of those.
They are something unusual, but I keep forgetting their names because I don't use them a lot. It's like one of them.
They don't ever come up a lot.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. It's their list of monsters that are like, those are interesting monsters, but I never use them.
We fought one of those because it was threatening a farming community that farms capybara. That's canon. Capybara.
They are delicious.
Are canon. Apparently, they're a delicacy in real life.
I mean, like, when South America, there is something as a capybara burger in places.
Yeah, apparently they are like a genuine delicacy and taste amazing. I don't know if I'd ever eat one, but if someone made me one, or if I'm in South America,
People eat guinea pigs.
Pretty unlikely, but
Like, people eat
yeah,
things that sound strange, but honestly, it's sort of like...
I've had horse. Like,
yeah.
I've eaten strange things.
Like, if someone came to me and said, like, I have this dish made with rabbit, I'd have that,
Yeah, like, I've had rabbit, I've had deer.
So, I haven't had great experience with deer, but I've had some deer before.
Deer's very hit or miss.
Yeah. It might have just been the preparation from it, because it was something...
I had deer jerky and it was okay.
I'm going to tell you, it was my grandmother on my mom's side. And the thing about my grandmother on my mom's side is, it's on my mom's side, they're Seventh-day Adventists. They don't cook very flavorful things.
Oof.
So, it was...
very important for me.
My grandfather did do some hunting. Not anymore, but he did do some. Yeah. There was some venison at one point in time. It was meat.
Seasoning is very important for meat.
Yes.
But yeah, we had an option of a reward of money or a plot of land because I think he's a barbarian. Because it's related to his cycle, so we let him pick. So he picked a plot of land, and that's going to be his retirement. He's just going to go and live a nice, peaceful life farming capybaras. And we went, killed a monster. I did, I think, a grand total of like 100 damage to it, because I am a paladin. I did a mega crit, and obviously, crits might.
Yeah.
Basically, it was a combination of that, and then I think you lightning did a lightning bolt on it and did 32 damage.
Ooh.
So it really didn't do a whole lot. Which is the second time we've done that to a monster Celis made. First time was a big lobster man that got exactly one turn and didn't hit anyone.
I think that's the thing I'm going to say right now about Pathfinder is I'm ready for the combats, but honestly, the less of the more complex ones, the better. Like, the simple ones where it's just like, it's a monster that just claws you. I don't mind those. Or like, it's a Cyclops. You know what it does? Hits you with a club. It's a bunch of spellcasters.
Because the next combat in Buccaneers, the spellcasters are basically removed.
Yes.
From that combat. They're like entirely removed. It's a barbarian and a demon.
And
that's not a hard fight.
Yeah, the barbarian you probably want to capture alive to get executed. Yeah. But you also want to trick the barbarian into thinking his friends are dead. Well, his friends. I mean, they're work friends. They. Yeah. This is not the first time they've done the job.
I mean, the thing is, we at this point have access to resurrection, like resurrection spells. So, we can, if someone has Breath of Life prepped, we can just kill the barbarian and then bring him back. Because Breath of Life is free.
That's true.
We could also theoretically do that with the two people, but ideally I don't want to actually kill them because that's a very traumatic experience.
Yeah.
But we do need to capture a barbarian.
Yeah, because honestly, with the evidence you have and giving him to Aranax, that will really make him happy.
That's good enough.
So it's gonna be interesting. Anyway, I guess that's our week this week. Jeez.
Our week, yeah.
It's been a pretty good week, I think.
It was a good one, yeah.
Honestly.
Consistent rolls were garbage the entire week, I will say.
There was a lot of bad rolls in Pathfinder.
Didn't get better.
I was surprised not only how bad you all were rolling in Buccaneers, but also, like, the amount of weird plans you were putting up there. Like, it was just a long list of them, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, it was really weird.
We'll see which ones you go for.
We have to actually make a new plan now.
Yeah. Anyway, I guess that's everything for today. Oh yeah. So I did want to give one interesting update because, I don't talk about it a lot. I've mentioned I play a lot of Pokemon Go. They did something I really like, but also is really weird. So, like, the one moth Pokemon has a billion different, like, patterns on it. So instead of releasing it globally and having, like, different places in the world have different patterns, which would have been a middle finger to everybody in existence, if you have friends from there that send you gifts daily, you can just get it from collecting gifts from those people.
That's nice.
It is very nice. It's sort of like, for once, I don't hate your plan. It's one of those weird things. Is sometimes the Niantic does something that's not an asshole.
Yeah.
It's not often.
That's fair. It is a mobile game.
Yeah. They're also just dumb, it seems like.
Yeah, true.
Anyway, that's my 2 cents on that one. If you do the game or you're interested in that, hey, pay attention to that. Pin your postcards you get from people, then delete it the next day because you don't have to keep them. Only for when you only have to pin them once and then get rid of them. That's the trick. Anyway, I'm gonna see what my schedule is. Honestly, I've been sick. I'm gonna see how I feel on Monday. Maybe if I feel well tomorrow enough, because Lightning's game's done. Maybe I'll do a little stream then. If not, I'll let people know how I'm feeling on Monday. I don't know. I haven't been doing much the last couple of days because I've just been feeling like shit.
Fair.
I'm feeling relatively. I'm feeling better than I did on Thursday today. Not great, but better than Thursday. So
that's a perfect idea for what we could do. Divinity Original Sin 2.
Honestly, I wouldn't also mind just doing some more of that.
It's like, I'm having him Sunday. I'm having him Tuesday because we're on break. So yeah, I've got like two days I can do early Divinity.
We could just do a whole bunch of that.
We can continue to struggle through Act 2.
Act 2, it's the thing is, I think the last time I played it, it might, because it was years ago. I think either like Lightning or Will, because it was Lightning, Will, me, and 3 of us really were playing it. We at least started out knowing the story a little bit more at that point in time. I didn't know anything, but it sounded like people knew more and could draw us more in the direction we needed to go, and that helped a lot. That we were able to be a lot more like, at that time, go here, go here, go here, go here. None of us remember anything now. I remember killing the troll eventually. I remember doing something over here and doing something over there.
I will say Act 2 has been very frustrating and definitely a low point. Act 1 was very fun.
I've never been to Act 3 or beyond.
I know one of the acts is Oops All Death Fog. I want to say that might be Act 4, right? It's the Death Fog Act.
We'll have to see. If we can at least get through it. I would like to get through the story at one point in time.
4 or 5 is Death Fog.
I honestly,
I know one of them hasn't logged it, because I've seen the Death Fog Act somewhat.
It's one of those games is I knew, like, having tried a couple of times to do it, like, on stream and it never worked out, I knew if I wanted to finish it, I was kind of have to not do it on stream.
I think games like that are terrible stream games.
Like, I might be able to get away with maybe at some point streaming Baldur's Gate, just because...
Baldur's Gate, I think, might be better.
He is more related to my content.
I also, like, maybe, learned from mistakes.
I don't know. That's a question.
Who knows? I mean, I'm definitely going to play Baldur's Gate 3 when it comes out.
I probably will too. I own it. I got it already. So I
haven't bought it yet. I'll buy it when it's, like, closer to release.
I think I bought it because it... Was it on like a 10% sale? Like, it's one of those ones that, like, even like in the early access, there's sometimes like the 10% sales or something. Like, I don't know, or it was just something was going on that, like, I got it with a bunch of games at the time. So I have it at least. So we'll see.
I'm gonna wait because I'm not gonna play it until it's actually out. So I want to play Act 1 like 60 times.
It's one of the reasons I haven't, like, picked it up, because I'm like, they're not done it. I want them to kind of be done it.
Yeah.
So, all right, and yeah, I will, as I said, keep people informed of my schedule for this week and see how I'm feeling and make a decision. Because again, I don't know how I'm gonna be feeling. It's kind of a big old play it by ear. Anyway, should be good for next week is Christmas Eve.
Next week is Christmas Eve.
I'm gonna play
Maybe.
next week by ear.
The 31st is New Year's Eve, which I don't think anyone really cares about. So, you know.
I might have something.
There might be fireworks, but
I might have something on New Year's Eve, but I could probably just show up to do it after, because it's sort of like, I think Joe's gonna have like a little party, like a housewarming / New Year's Eve party at his place, but I can just show up after, honestly, because we don't go to past 8 anyway.
Yeah.
Usually, I'm gonna see about next week. I don't think I'm busy, but then I'm just gonna see about next week. I'm gonna next couple weeks play by ear. I'm gonna say that. So play by ear. That's it for now. The weekly everything's play by ear. Only thing that I definitely know is we're on schedule for Buccaneers on Wednesday. Okay. All right. Great. Cool. Everybody, I guess have a great rest of your weekend. If I do something, I do something. Check Discord, Twitter. You know, not a big place. I'll announce it. If not, see you next week for Buccaneers at least. But I guess for now, farewell, everybody. Bye.
Bye.
At least Santa went away. Took him long enough.